Out on the campaign trail this morning, Vice President Joe Biden made a speech at NYU that will probably be remembered for one specific comment. Did you hear this?
Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. I promise you.
Some snickering in the audience. Did you hear that? Biden brought up the Theodore Roosevelt quote in reference to the president's ability to deal with nations such as Iran. Okay, well, it's moments like that that can bring a little levity to the campaign. So we brought in political analyst John Dadian to talk about the national race, what was said yesterday, and some interesting news about Sandiego's mayoral race. John, thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Good morning.
Do you think Biden was saying, okay, what speechwriter wrote that yesterday? That didn't go over as planned.
I hate to keep repeating myself, but on this show several times I have said, your first day as a political aide, the one phrase they teach you is what the boss meant to say was, and so you just know that his speech writers. And what really does surprise me about that, Biden is famous for ad-libbing. You know, when he said the bleep word, you know, with Obama at the podium.
Yes.
That's another famous one. There's so many famous ones. But this was prepared comments. So I just can't imagine that somebody really goofed on this one. Normally, this stuff is vetted several times before it goes into his teleprompter.
And you're giving a speech in front of college students, and immediately their mind goes somewhere else.
Funny how that works.
Yes. Hey, John, let's also talk about the national race. We saw that Mitt Romney has hired Rick Santorum's campaign manager because is he going after these conservative voters now, because that's been the criticism of Romney all along.
Absolutely. I think it's a smart move because he wants to make sure he has that, I don't like to use the word wing, but that segment of the party on board. So, yeah, again, when you become the nominee, the campaign gets bigger and you can have a broad, you know, coalition. And you want people with different perspectives on your campaign, like any staff.
Now, talk about President Obama's new advisor.
It seems that he's last couple of weeks has really increased a lot. That is Bill Clinton, and specifically, Bill Clinton is giving them advice to change their strategy from what it's been the last couple of months. He's recommending to them to get away from the strategy of labeling Romney the flip-flopper and start labeling him with a Tea Party conservative, because they feel that'll lose, Romney will lose support among Hispanics, among women, among the ones that are kind of on the fence right now.
And women is where President Obama has a lot of support in the female vote, is that right?
He's lost some, actually, but he's still way ahead of Romney, so everything's relative.
Okay. Let's get to the local races right here in San Diego. The mayor's race sure did get interesting. We had a number of heads of companies yesterday switched their party affiliation from the Republican Party to the Independent Party. Well, now the California Republican Party is doing something about this. What's going on?
Right. Those business people, I have to stress, these are not just, you know, Fletcher supporters that are kind of want to make a statement. These are credible business people. I know several of them, and they have been involved for many years and have given quite a bit of money to Republican candidates and parties. So that was huge. I thought that was absolutely huge. Then it turns out yesterday that the public records show that there are several organizations affiliated with the Republican Party, meaning mostly the county party, gave a large contribution to the state party. And then the Fletcher campaign is alleging there was a conference call yesterday that says they're going to spend that in the mayor's race. That's unprecedented. I don't remember the state party coming into a local race. Plus, keep in mind, even though Carl DeMaio is endorsed by the county party, there's another Republican, Bonnie DeMonis. So she's got to be wondering, why is the state party getting involved?
And what would be the incentive to get involved? Does it have anything, obviously, to do with him switching to the Independent Party? I guess we're kind of drawing connections that haven't quite been drawn yet, but one would look into it and think what's happening here.
Everybody is just making, you know, trying to do the best guesstimates. Clearly that has to be part of it also. And also I think really the main reason is both with the county party endorsing Councilman Carl DeMaio and with Nathan Fletcher switching from party, the county party has a lot on the line here. So they're very nervous, and I think they said we need really you guys to come in and help us out on this one, because, and it is possible, if it's a Bob Filner, a Democrat, and Nathan Fletcher in the general election, the Republican Party shut out. I don't think that's going to happen. All the polls and the way the campaign's been going, it looks like Carl DeMaio probably will almost certainly get one of the two slots. And so everybody's wondering who gets that other slot. Is it Bob Filner, Bonnie DeMonis, or Nathan Fletcher?
And what are the polls showing? Nathan Fletcher in second place right now?
Some polls are, yes, but again, it's kind of all over the map. Carl DeMaio, another big development this week, as you said, many developments. Carl DeMaio went on the air with his first commercial.
Yeah.
So I've always said that when that starts happening, and the other candidates, you know, when they start not only TV but also direct mail, that's when you really want to pay attention to the polls. I'm not really paying attention to him right now because Carl DeMaio is the largest fundraiser so far in this race, and he's just spending his real hard money on the media, what we call voter contact, this week. So that's when the polls are going to change. So that's what I'm waiting for. Another week. We're 5 weeks out right now.
5 weeks out right now. There's another race that's happening that's been so quiet so far, the San Diego County Supervisor race.
And people forget this is one of the largest counties in the country. The county supervisors, as far as the entire county, represent more constituents than 21 governors. I mean, that's huge.
Huge, yeah.
It's been quiet. Here's what happened this week. There's been a front runner, Steve Dadian, former aide to several county supervisors, announced 2 years ago was running against the incumbent. Now the incumbent's not running. A couple council people from different incorporated cities have jumped in. Okay, so it's a tight race, and it's probably going to go in the runoff. There's a unique county provision that says if you put in more than $100,000 of your own money, you have to notify your opponents, but more importantly, limits come off. Locally, we have limits. So now the limits are off. Steve Dadian.
Once you put in $100,000 of your own money, the limits come off for everybody else?
That's correct.
Okay.
For your opponents.
For your opponents, okay.
Up to that level. So here's what the interesting thing is. Steve Dadian's done a very good job of fundraising, but specifically, now he can go back to the same donors who have what we call maxed out, who've already hit the limit of the old county regulations, and say, you can give more now. He's got a lot of real hardcore supporters that I think you're going to see might be one of the most expensive supervisor races that we've seen in many, many years.
Things are getting interesting, yeah.
This race is an open seat for the first time. Well, incumbent's been in for 20 years, so we will have a new supervisor in that seat one way or the other.
Okay, John, thank you so much. Appreciate your expertise always.